We're going to go through the 5 things that you need to do when you've been injured at work to make sure that your workers' compensation claim is paid properly and quickly and get you back on your feet as soon as possible. That's next. 5 things you need to do. Let's get to it. There's 5 things you need to do when you've been injured at work. First and foremost, if you are injured seriously, dial 911. But aside from that, most injuries are not life-threatening. Most injuries are going to be sprains and bruises, and overexertion is the most common one. So these are the type of injuries where maybe you don't think it's worth reporting because it's just a little thing. My shoulder's a little bit sore and I don't want to look like I'm a weakling or that I'm always complaining about the work. This is important to get over that because little complaints can turn into big problems down the road. You don't want to be caught 3 years down the road with your shoulder needing surgery and you never reported that it was getting sore at work. Make sure when something happens, you report it to your employer. He has to file a report if you report the injury. Whether it turns into something that needs medical help or not is something that can be determined down the road. Don't fail to report your injury. If you don't feel good, let your employer know. Let your supervisor know. Send them an email, even better, so that it's in writing, a text, saying, "Hey boss, I was lifting this pipe and I kind of wrenched my neck and it's kind of stiff this morning." Have that written record. Second, seek medical help by your employer guidelines. By law, if your employer has a plan set up to where they have an on-site nurse or a medical center or an agreement to go to a certain work med place or whatever it may be, you have the right to go wherever you want, but to claim it as a workers' comp claim, you need to go to where your employer has it set up in his employment workers' compensation plan. And so that's why after you report it to your employer, you go to the work med place or on-site healthcare facility, whatever it may be that is set up in his plan. If they don't have a plan, then you can go wherever you want. But you need to have that discussion with your employer first, if possible. Obviously, if it's an emergency medical situation, then you go wherever you need to go. The third thing you need to do is follow your medical doctor's instructions to the T. If he says, take a day off, and your boss calls and says, "I need you to come in," you do what your doctor says. If your doctor says to take a certain medication or to do certain stretching exercises or whatever it may be, do what your doctor says. So many times in workers' comp, this is something that causes a problem where the doctor is giving advice and you're reading something online or talking to a friend that says, "Oh, you need to do this instead." And then the employer and the insurance carrier are able to say that the reason you need more care is because you didn't follow the doctor's directions. So follow the doctor's directions. If you don't like those directions, then you have the right to seek a different doctor, a second opinion, if you will. You can have the doctor refer you to a specialist, or have that discussion with the doctor and say, "I don't think this is the best thing to do. Can we do A, B, C, or D?" Have that discussion with your doctor to see what the options are. And he may be willing to expand his instructions to include whatever treatments you're more comfortable with, or that gives you an opportunity to maybe explain your injury a little bit better to him so that he better understands it. You don't want your doctor to make a quick diagnosis and then you don't say anything about it, saying, "No, I think there's something more with the shoulder than the neck," so that the doctor has the opportunity to examine you further to make sure that whatever treatment he's recommending is something that you're going to need. And if your doctor says to do something, you need to do what your doctor says. Fourth, make sure you gather all of the written documentation necessary to support your claim. First and foremost, this includes your doctor's medical records. So when you go to the WorkMed place, don't leave without saying, hey, I need a copy of my medical record when it's available, along with the workers' compensation forms that are required. For the doctor, it's the Physician's Form 123. This is something the doctor has to fill out and has to file. And on that form, she has the opportunity to mark down whether she feels that this injury is related to the accident you had at work or the disease that you got at work, the illness, the sickness, whatever it may be. And she has the opportunity to say, the worker said that this is what happened, and I agree with that, and the injury is consistent with those type of an accident. If the doctor doesn't feel that it was a work injury, and that it's just something that you have had for a long time, or the facts just don't line up to the type of injury with what you're saying has happened, still, by law, the doctor has to fill out the Form 123, indicate what you said it was, that you said it was a work injury, and then he or she has the opportunity to say, I don't agree with this. This type of injury doesn't fit with the set of facts as presented to me by the injured worker. And so you don't want to leave the doctor's office without saying, I want a copy of the 123 form. And this is something that they're required to give you. However, most injured workers don't ever see it. This is something that, as your attorney, I'm going to need to see in order to determine the best course of action for you. So make sure your doctor fills out a Form 123. The other form you need is from either your employer or your workers' comp insurance carrier. They have to file a Form 122, and if it comes from the employer, it's a 122E, and if it's from the insurance carrier, then it's a 122C. And either one of these forms, either one can fill it out and file it with the Labor Commission. This is how the Labor Commission gets notified of your injury. And they're required by law to file these forms with the Labor Commission. So you want to get a copy of that. The carrier, when they are notified by your employer, so you notify your employer notifies the workers' comp insurance carrier, and they fill out a Form 122C, and they file it with the Labor Commission. They are also supposed to provide you with a copy of that. However, most injured workers don't ever remember receiving this form. So you want to have that. You want to have the Form 122 from either your employer or your insurance carrier or both. And along with the doctor's Form 123, you want to have those documents. The other thing you need is the doctor's medical report or medical records. As your case progresses, you're going to need other medical records, but you certainly want to have the medical records of everyone who has treated you from the date of your injury forward. So if you go to a WorkMed place, you're going to want that document. If they send you to a specialist, you're going to want the medical records from the medical specialist. These are things that your attorney will need as well in order to determine the best course of action for your case. The other thing that you're going to want the other document that you're going to want is any kind of a acceptance or denial letters from your workers' comp carrier. Even if it's just a welcome, we've received your claim, we're ready to go. That's going to have your claim number on it and other information, the date of injury as they have it recorded. And this is something you want to look at. Make sure there aren't any mistakes or errors or things left out where they're describing it differently than what you reported it. So you want to have a copy of any of that documentation as well. And this is something they'll provide you with. By law, they have to give you a determination letter within 21 days of being notified whether they accept or deny your claim. And a lot of times they'll just kind of let that float and on the phone, they'll tell you that they're waiting for something, et cetera, but by law, they have to give you a written notice within 21 days. So this is something you want to keep track of. If they do need more time, they can give you a written notice that says, we need more time. We're waiting for this doctor's report, or we're waiting for analysis of our medical team to look at it to see if we want to accept the claim or not, or whatever it may be. But they have to tell you what that is, and it has to be in writing within 21 days of them getting notification from the employer. So if day 21 rolls around and you haven't received anything, you want to contact your adjuster and say, hey, I got to know, and by law, you got to give me a letter one way or the other. And the letter that, if they need more time, it buys them an extra 14 days. And so within 45 days, they have to say yes or no, one way or the other, whether they're waiting for information or not. If they don't give you anything by day 45, then you need to be filing an application for hearing because you've been denied. If you do not have a letter by day 45, your claim has been denied, and you need to step up and do something about it. The best thing to do is file an application for hearing so that you can get the system going and get you the benefits that you need to be able to get well so that you can keep going to the doctor. The fifth and last thing you need to do, after you have reported the injury to your employer, gotten the medical help that you need, collected the forms, the 122 from your employer or the carrier, the 123 from your doctor, the medical records from every doctor that you've seen for the injury, and any denial or acceptance letters from your adjuster. After you've received those things, and you've followed the doctor's recommendations for treatment, done the things that your doctor tells you to do, the last thing you need to do is contact an attorney. And you want to do this whether you think you have a case or not. Most workers' comp attorneys will offer some type of a free consultation, even if it's just a 3-5 minute phone call with a particular question. Most attorneys will give you that information without some type of a commitment to have them represent you. Giving a call to an attorney can be a great way to get a little bit of peace of mind, to know that you're doing the right thing, and to know if you need to do something more than what you're doing. Make sure you get the medical care you need. Make sure you've reported to your employer. Make sure you've got the documentation to back it up. And make sure you do what your doctor says. You do these things, you're going to be on the road to recovery and get back to work as soon as possible. If any of these things are creating a hang-up in your case and you need some assistance, feel free to give us a call anytime. We want to make sure that you get the help you need, the medical attention you need, so that you can get back to work as soon as possible. And if it requires having an attorney, we'll let you know. If it doesn't require having an attorney, we'll let you know. Either way, give us a call so that you have some peace of mind that you know you're doing the best you can to make sure that you're getting taken care of. Thanks for watching, and hope to talk to you soon.